But there's a tendency as their alignment, because you're in alignment and you're focused upon them. Words don't teach. But there's a tendency as a teacher, healer into it, to want to find a problem and solve it. That's the opposite of how this universe works. Which leads us to something that we want to say to all of you. We've been waiting for the perfect moment to say it to you, and that is step back and get a look at the whole picture. And in doing so, talking to everyone, feel less inclined to worry about what anybody else is doing. Less inclined to worry about what anybody else is doing, because they're doing their part whether you know it or not. They have guidance whether you understand it or not.
That speaks to me so profoundly. I tend to be judgmental when it comes to the subject of religion, as you all can tell, because of my negative experiences with so-called religious people, especially Christians. And what Abraham just said, or what Abraham said to me the other day when this message came across for my benefit, they are on their own path, basically, is what Abraham is stating. Look, stop. You don't have to convince anybody that you're right. You don't have to convince anybody that what you're saying is logical. You don't have to convince anybody of your path. They're on their own path. If they believe in a man named Jesus, that's, baby, that is their journey, their path. It has nothing to do with you. The reason why you don't have the big house with the big yard and everything you ever wanted and dreamed of, and the husband, the reason why you don't have any of those things, Natasha, is because you spend all your life and so much time reliving that trauma that you went through when you were a child, when your daddy just could not see you. He wouldn't understand you. He didn't want to hug you. He didn't want to take you out when he took your brother out. He treated your mother bad. You watched him hit and push your mom. You watched your mother cry holding the baby, your little sister. It's like, oh, MG. Everybody is on their own path. And when you see that their path and your path, even if it intersects, they're going left, you're going right, let them go right. Don't stop and try to, you're not a Jehovah's Witness. Don't stop and try to convince them that they should go left with you. If the motherfucker's going right, let them go right. If your paths cross, there's a reason for it. Yes. But understand that once it starts to feel uncomfortable, that reason has ended. Anything you do past the point of comfort, you're wasting time and you're staying stuck and you're digging a ditch for yourself. Why do I let go of friends and boyfriends and girlfriends? Why am I so quick to cut someone off? Why? That's why. Because I do know instinctively, I've known this for quite some time instinctively, and it's been confirmed through the teachings that I've been studying for the past 20 years. If it starts to feel uncomfortable, if it starts to feel like I'm obligated or you're making me obligated, if it starts to feel like I have to jump through hoops, if it starts to feel, if I'm on a job and it starts to feel I get a headache every morning, I don't want to go to work, spirit is holding me back, I'm not happy even when I get my check. If it starts to feel like I just don't, leave it, drop it, move on. You don't have anything to prove to anybody. If you want to change jobs 5 times a year, I mean, if you want to do that, if that's what you need to do, do it. You don't have to convince anybody why. If you meet a woman and she starts saying, well, you got to buy me this and you got to buy me that, and you really, really want her, but you're like, that's not what I want in a relationship. That's not going to work for me. You don't have to convince her or anybody else why. Drop her, keep it moving. If I meet a man and he's bringing back the way he talks to me or treats me, brings back childhood trauma. It makes me feel worthless. It makes me feel bad about myself. He makes me feel bad. I don't care how pretty he is, fine he is, good the sex is, or how much money he has. If I meet someone and I think this person, oh, I wonder why this person came into my life. Let's see if he's relationship material. And he starts to make me feel emotionally bad. I can spend time trying to convince myself that, no, this is what I want, or I can understand how God speaks. And God will understand that what people call God is telling me is, if he makes you feel bad, and I'm not talking about the sex being the bomb or anything. I'm talking about if dealing with this person makes you feel like you have to jump through hoops, you have to prove, you have to beg, you have to fight, you have to compete, you have to win. Even if you get the person, Natasha, or whatever, even if you get the person, it's not going to bear good fruit. It might last a year, it might last 2, it might last 10. Some people stay together for 20 years. If you're on a job and you put up with the nonsense and you're not happy, but you stay, you could waste 20, 30 years of your life at a job. 5 years of your life, 10 years. You could waste all the time not being happy instead of just taking the leap, leaving alone what does not feel good, recognizing that if it does not feel good, that's God's way of telling you, this is not for you. It came in to show you something. Now move on. Now, if you don't heed that message, you will. Guaranteed fact. It's not my opinion. It's not Natasha's way of thinking. This is a universal law. This is natural law. This is the law of attraction. If you hold on to something once the universe, i.e. God, has shown you, and how does God show you? Through the way it feels. It's hard to discern the way it feels because you can want something so bad, and it could feel. I've known men that stayed with women because the sex was the bomb, or because they just didn't want to let her go. But you know what? At the end of the day, it still fell apart because God has already spoken. If you have to do this and that and this and that, leave it be. It's not healthy. Two people will come together and they will stick it out and they will stick together. You'll be at a job and you'll be miserable and your boss won't even like you, but he won't fire you or she won't fire you and you won't quit. People exist like that all the time, every day. It happens all the time. But do you want to be the person to waste your time? Do you want to be the person to waste your life? And the answer for me is no. I don't care what it looks like to anyone else. And trying to convince other people of that is wasting your own time, Natasha. Because just like it took you this long in life, you've known this for a couple of decades, but you still had trouble implementing it. The reason why the last few relationships that I've had over the last few years that I walked away from, and one came back after he got a divorce and I didn't want, and the last person I literally said, I can't. No, because you're not treating me right. You're not talking to me right. You have your own trauma. And you know what? I'm not holding your hand and walking through this trauma with you. That is not my job. I am not doing it because what I know how God speaks. And I know when I meet someone and they treat me badly, it doesn't matter what their reason is. They could be putting me through a test. They could be trying to see what type of woman I am. I'm not here for it. Because what I know is if I meet a person that is that broken, that hasn't understood the things where I understand now in life, no matter if I put up with it and still secure the man, it's not going to work long term. All I'm doing is wasting years. And you could spend your whole life with the wrong person if you get with them for the wrong reasons. And you won't know that until after the fact. I am who I am right now at this age and stage in my life. And if I would have implemented what I knew and what I know 20, 30 years ago, I would be living a completely different life. I would be living the life of leisure. I would be living my dreams instead of dealing with people's nightmares, is what I'm saying. The reason why the whole world is at war is because one group, the United States, wants to go all over the world and bully everybody else and tell everybody else how to live. And when they don't listen, then they send the spies and the CIA and the killers and the assassins and they overthrow governments. It happens on a large scale and it happens on a small scale. Everyone wants to control the narrative instead of just learning how to control their own emotions. When you learn how to control your own emotions, the narrative will be controlled. Your world will be perfect. And people will come into your world that won't put you through tests, that won't waste years of your life. And you'll hook up with people and it will feel good. It won't feel like I've won a competition. Yes, I won. That's not. It may feel good at the moment, but that feeling of I won goes away when you realize you really didn't win nothing. You won a headache. You didn't win a prize. But most people are just doing that. They're in competition with each other. They're in competition with everyone. The people they love, the people they don't love, the people they meet, the people they... Everyone is Natasha, that is what you did. You sat there and you debated with someone in the break room for hours because you were in competition. You gotta... No! You have to acknowledge me. You have to acknowledge what I'm saying. Now, if that person would have said, okay, I do acknowledge you, I would have felt a sense of relief. But would I have really accomplished anything? No, because that person is on their journey and I'm on mine. The key is you could know something all day long, but if you don't implement it, if you don't master yourself enough to say, I know this, and I'm going to act like I know. I'm going to, no matter how much I want it. Nope. I know how God speaks. I know how the universe speaks. I know how Source speaks. Source has told me this is not right. This is toxic behavior. But I want to save the person. I want to help the person. I want to make the person see the light. I want them to grow. Okay, you can do that. Go ahead, waste your life. Waste time. But when you know better, Natasha, Spirit said to me, you're supposed to do better. And you know better. The fact that you're not doing better and you know better, the fact that you know better and you're not doing better,
There isn't anything that any of you now or ever, before or later, nothing that anyone wants that is for any reason other than you believe you will feel better in the having of it. And if you can just flip that a little bit and go for the feeling better of it now, it will lead you to the letting in of all of the details of the things that you want.
what a lot of people do is they say, if I get this, I'll feel better. If I get this money, I'll feel better. If I get this person, I'll feel better. If I get this house, I'll feel better. If I get this job, I'll feel better. Then they get all those things, and feel better might last for a while. It might last for a day, 2, a month, a year, whatever. But then ultimately they're back to, damn, I don't feel good. This is why we have divorce, which is why we have jobs quitting, which is why we have, people failing at things they started, which is why we have arguments, which is why we have debates and disagreements and wars. Because you think you'll feel better once you have something or someone. And then we all learn that that's not how the law of the universe works. That's not how it works. That is not natural law. That is not how the universe works. So, until you realize you have to feel better, period. And it's not contingent upon anything or anyone. We will continue as a species. We will continue to be in situations where, well, this is really one of the reasons why I think we're here on Earth anyway, as a species, as humans, to learn this and to try to master it before we die. Some of us never do, and a few of us will. And then we go on to the next stage. But Natasha, it is not your job to do anything than what you're doing right now, which is speak it. Whoever can hear it will hear it. Whoever is receptive to it will be receptive. Whoever is listening will listen. But when you actually go out of your way, and this is what the Buddhists call the law of non-interference, when you actually go out of your way, Natasha, to try to force someone else to listen to you, or to force your opinion, or to scream and holler because they're not understanding you, then you fall right back into the pile with the rest of them. Right back into the pile. And then you gotta dig your way up out of it emotionally all over again. Really? Stop doing that. Stop digging your way up out of the pile of nonsense Get on solid ground, build your foundation, and live in that beautiful palace. The palace is everything you want, everything you need, everything you dream about while you're in this physical body to experience. But you can't build and live in that palace while you're sitting there arguing and wallowing around in the mud trying to get people to understand you. Huh? Does it make sense?